Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. Now, before we start, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to checking this out. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, it helps a lot, and again, thank you. Have an incredible day or evening, depending where you are, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. So, welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we have the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the legendary, the super awesome Laura. Laura, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for the awesome intro there.
Absolutely. Now, for those who don't know who is the incredible, amazing, badass Laura, please tell us who you are.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Laura. I'm an actress. I work in casting a little bit as well. I've also started teaching acting too, recently out of university. So just kind of diving my foot in all these different pools and figuring out exactly where I fit into the world and everything. So it's exciting time.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Now, let's go back in time for a little bit and tell me where the journey began. Like, what make you want to start this whole passion for acting?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I always was, I was singing a lot when I was growing up. So I would do small little performances, or I did a lot of karaoke, school talent shows, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I did like some auditions here and there that I would like drag my mom out to for singing. And yeah, it was just kind of like something that I did here and there. And then I would say I didn't really start acting until I got to high school. And that was where I kind of got more into it. I did a few plays. I wasn't super overly comfortable doing theater. Like there was something
Mm.
about, being on stage and in front of the audience that was kind of a lot. But when I started doing film and TV stuff, that was where things really started to click for me. And I was like, oh, this is something that I really enjoy and I'm really passionate about. And it also helped me to, I went through a difficult phase when I was in high school, as I'm sure a lot of people do, but it was kind of, there was a little bit of a turning point where I was kind of like, okay, what do I really want to do in this life, and what is important to me, and what do I really enjoy? And I was like,
Mm.
okay, telling stories, and being able to build these characters, that's something that I enjoy and that I'm passionate about. And it kind of spiraled from there. I started taking classes, started meeting people in the industry, and then I had a friend who was like, "Hey, like I think you should meet my agent," blah blah blah, and that's kind of where it all kicked off. I did not grow up in an arts family, so my parents were kind of like, "Okay, if you want to do this, you got to figure it out." They were very sports oriented and everything, so yeah, I kind of like fell into that path and just been working my way through it ever since.
That's incredible. I love it.
Thank you.
That's really awesome. Yeah, and also, it's yeah. What can I say? It's yeah, it's badass. It's badass. But anyway, moving on here. I mean, time passed, so you started. But tell me, like, what were some of the, let's say, challenges that you had when you were recently making your first steps in your acting career?
Yeah, I would say my biggest challenge was that I was kind of a little bit like what I was saying, but I was kind of diving into a world that I knew nothing about. Like I said, like my parents were not performers, they weren't involved in the arts or anything like that. Even at my high school, like yeah, we had like drama classes and stuff like that, but it
Yeah.
was much more sports oriented. There wasn't really a lot geared towards like just the arts in general. So I really kind of had to figure it out for myself. So I remember even like the first acting class that I took, like I researched, I found this studio and I was like, Mom, Dad, like I have to sign up for this class. Like I have to be in it. I even remember it being like really expensive. So I had, part-time jobs to kind of help with some of the stuff that I was doing in
Of course.
theater. And yeah, like that was probably the biggest challenge, was that I didn't already have like an entryway or somebody kind of guiding me or being like, hey, do this. So there was a lot of things along the way that looking back, I'm like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best way to go about stuff. But yeah, that was probably my biggest challenge, was just figuring out how to meet people too, and like how to find the right people to guide you. Cause I think that's so important too, is you really do need a community and people that are supporting you and motivating you. So yeah, that was probably the biggest challenge starting out for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. And focusing a little bit here on your acting career, tell me how you prepare a character. Now, you understand, of course, that depends on the role. But what is usually your initial approach, like how you start diving into this process?
Yeah. Something that I think is really interesting is that before the pandemic, I kind of had a set way that dived into a character. Like I'd get an audition, I'd break down the sides, think about my choices, blah, blah, blah. And it was almost kind of like going through the motions and checking the boxes where I was like, okay, I've been taught to do this. Let me, do exactly that. Versus, I feel like the pandemic gave me a really great opportunity to train with, a lot of people that I just necessarily wouldn't have had the experience or the ability to before. I
Mm.
worked with some coaches out in LA over Zoom, which was really nice. And I think my process, it's constantly evolving. But I think I kind of base it on what I'm needing, like in the moment. I work with an instructor here in Toronto. Like he's been really great in helping me just, feel things more in my body and focus more on my breath work and things like that and
Mm.
drop-ins. But it's kind of like a combination of things. I find it kind of depends. Like you said, like it does depend on the character, but like it also depends on kind of where I'm at personally in that moment and what I kind of need. Sometimes like I pick up a script and I'm just like all the ideas and thoughts and energy and everything is flowing and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do with this, and like everything's running through. And other times you pick up a script and you're like, I don't know where to start. I don't even know what to dive into. So it kind of depends. It's a case by case basis. I have had the pleasure to tackle some more interesting characters that are very outside of my comfort zone. So for those things, I really, really do a lot of research.
Mm.
For any project, I do like to look up, like if there's been previous episodes, I'm watching that. If it's like from a certain director or whatever, and I know that they've work in this certain area, I try to like get a feel for like what the tone of the show is and everything. But yeah, depending on the character, sometimes there's a lot of research involved, and yeah, I try to do that as best I can. I like to ask a lot of people questions too. Like sometimes like a character, like I'll see something and I'll be like, oh, this reminds me so much of like, I don't know, this person's experience or whatever. And I try to just like use that knowledge and incorporate that. But yeah, really it totally depends. Like I feel now as I'm growing and developing and as I've worked on different shows too now, it's constantly changing. Like I don't feel like I have one set process anymore that I kind of used to. And now it's like, okay, whatever I need in the moment. Which is kind of cool. It's definitely thrown me for a whirlwind though.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, like the fact that you get the chance to play. So, I mean, the possibilities are huge, from, I don't know, from cop to doctor to president to superhero to alien to God. Sometimes, like the
Yeah.
possibilities are huge, which I find it awesome because, I mean, besides being fun, of course, I mean, you also get the chance to learn new things. You know what I mean? Which I find pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really try not to. I used to be very limited in my thoughts where I was like, oh, I can't play this character or they're never going to see me for that or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I find I'm much more open and I'm like, okay, anything that crosses my desk, like if they're giving you that audition, they're giving it to you because they think that there's a possibility that you could play, like realistically play this character. So I've definitely opened my mind up that way.
Absolutely. Wow. Now, like, has it ever happened to you that there was this character that, so you prepare it, you should see and everything good to go, but that character stick with you for a while?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, especially when you're auditioning, I find there's some scripts that, come on your path that you're like, oh my gosh, like, it's just like you're like, oh, this is one that
Yeah.
is just so juicy, right? And I do find that I actually genuinely I do enjoy auditioning, which I'm really thankful for because I know there's some actors that they're like they love to act, but like auditioning is just really frustrating for them. But I actually do genuinely love the process of auditioning and like, it's kind of like, especially now that we're in the world of self-taping too, like it's kind of in your control, right? Like you can do whatever you want to do with it. Obviously, yes, it's much more enjoyable to be on set and work with another actor. But yeah, I've really loved even to just some of the characters that I've gotten to play in classes as well. I'm taking this class right now that's it's like a scene study class, and we've just, done things from really famous movies that like I've seen, like famous actors do, and like having the chance to like bring my own take on it. Obviously, I'm not at their level with that, but getting to bring my own take to it is great. I did one character that actually really did stick with me though. I had a reoccurring role in an upcoming Netflix series.
That's badass.
um yeah, it was really fun, but it was one of those things, kind of like what I was saying. When the audition came across, I was like, I don't know about this one. I was like, I really don't think that I'm like suited for this. I was like, they never see me for these kind of roles. Like, the character, I don't want to say too much because it hasn't been
Yeah, of course,
released
makes
yet.
sense. Yeah, no, yeah, makes sense.
But she's, it's basically the series is about the opioid crisis, and basically how like a lot of people were getting prescribed this medication when
Yeah.
they probably shouldn't have been, and like it goes into the FDA's involvement and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, with that being the nature of the series, like my character had a lot of involvement with drugs, and it was just the way she was first written was, a little bit harsher, like more of your girl from the wrong side of the tracks, whatever. And that was not typically what I go out for at all. I usually would go out for like girl next door, like sweet, nice girl, whatever. So I was very excited to do the audition and then to also eventually get to play the role. But definitely at first I was like, I don't think that I will be able to do this. Like, I don't think that this is within my scope. But yeah, it was really challenging, and it was exciting. And that's definitely been a character that has kind of stuck with me, just because that series, there's a lot of incredible people a part of that series, but also just, telling stories like that are so important, right? That are like, they're bringing to light things that people didn't know about what kind of happened with the family behind this drug, and just like I said, like the FDA's involvement and all of that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be a really crazy series, but I'm excited that those are the kind of stories being brought to life, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
exciting.
that's awesome. And how you break character? So you shoot the scene, like how you return to be the you. Do you have like a, I don't know, like a ritual? Like something you kind of always do to kind of return to be the real you. Like, what is your thing?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends exactly like what we're talking about. Like, throughout the day, like if I know I have, for example, like a heavier day and it's going to be more emotional scenes, or like
Yeah.
whatever, more serious scenes, I'm usually like I'm usually just kind of like living in that world of where I am. I find that like it helps me to kind of just like maintain kind of in that level.
Yeah.
And then usually at the end of the day, when everything's done and they're like, you're cut after they cut the last scene, that's usually when I kind of like start to be like, okay, and now I'm gonna take my pressure off, release. I love going into the makeup trailer, and if they usually have these like warm cloths that you just like wipe your face with, take it all off. There's something about like taking off the makeup and getting like in back into your regular clothes too, that's kind of relaxing. But usually anytime I've had like a more emotional scene, whether it's on set or whether it's for an audition or in a class, I really do like to just go home and relax. I don't really like to talk too much to anybody after. I find my social batteries a little bit drained.
Yeah, of course.
So I like to just relax, like put on a show, make something to eat, like just kind of like chill out by myself for a little while. I find that kind of helps me decompress.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, we all need it, and it's, yeah, I can understand that. Especially, I mean, I would assume right after a very dramatic, heavy scene, you need to kind of
Yeah.
let the steam go off and kind of relax to be the you again. So
Yeah, it's definitely helpful.
absolutely, absolutely. Now moving on, yeah, like moving on a little bit here. Tell me, what has been some of the worst auditions you ever had?
Ooh. Well, one thing that I feel lucky about is that now with self-taping, I feel like it's a bit easier to not have, you know, you do have a little bit more control, at least on that
Totally.
initial tape. So that's kind of nice. But I do have, it was before the pandemic. I hadn't really been auditioning that much. Like it was one of my newer auditions. And I was really excited like about this show
Mm.
because I knew, I think they were in maybe their second season at that point.
Yeah.
But my mom actually watches the show, so I was like, oh, okay, great, because I knew she'd be like, can you get that one? But I, you know, had like prepped. I felt confident. It was a casting director that I didn't really know very well, so I was a little bit nervous about that. But I felt prepared in my material and my prep and everything like that. But part of the requirements for this role was they wanted you to be a figure skater. I was not a figure skater by any means.
Yeah.
I have played
Mhm.
hockey and stuff growing up, so I knew how to skate. So I was like, okay, maybe they're just like, I think on the breakdown too, it just said you knew she was going to be a figure skater, but I think they just said like needs to know how to skate or something like that.
Mhm.
And I remember going into the audition and I was like, okay, like here we go. And they start to do my slate, blah, blah, blah. They're like, give me your name, whatever else they asked for. And then they were like, and tell us about your figure skating experience. And in my mind, I just went, oh, okay. So I was like, yeah, I played hockey growing up. I'm comfortable. I know how to skate, and I'm sure like switching over to figure skates because you know hockey skates are different than
Mhm.
figure skates would be no problem. Blah blah blah. And then they cut and they stopped it, and they were like, oh, okay, so you're not a figure skater. And I was like, "Oh no, well, like I know how to skate, right?" And I wasn't worried about this going in because I knew it just said like in the breakdown like needs to know how to skate, whatever. And then she was like, "Okay, so let's do the slate again, and just make sure to say at the end of the slate that you're not a figure skater." And in that
Okay.
moment, I just was like, "Okay, so and I got in my head after that about the audition and everything. So that definitely wasn't my favorite audition story for sure. But you know, like also like you win some, you lose some. You know, like I
Totally.
went in prepared with the scene, but
Totally.
it definitely was not, I guess, what they were expecting. So yeah, that one kind of threw me for a whirlwind for sure.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, it wasn't meant to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It happens.
And
It
the
happens.
the reality is too, like with something like that, when they're looking for special skills, you never really know kind of how intense they need your skill set to be until you're kind of like in the room there. Like sometimes they're just like, yeah, for dance, sometimes they're just like, yeah, if you can move, then sure that works. And other times they're like, no, we want someone with like 10 years experience or whatever. So
Totally.
you kind of see where it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, I don't have any experience at all, of course. So, based on what you know, what advice would you think would be important for me to know before jumping into this career?
Ooh, I would say what you need to know is that it's probably one of the hardest careers that you could pick, which I'm
Yeah.
sure any actor will tell you that. You know, it's definitely going to challenge you and be really difficult. But if it is something that you genuinely love and enjoy and are passionate about, then, you know, you just will continue because you're compelled to do so. And then I would say, in terms of like your first steps, I would say sign up for a class. You know, I see a lot of people too that are always like, oh, like I'd love to be an actor, like that's so cool, blah blah blah. And I'm like, but see if you actually genuinely enjoy acting, you know, like see if you're actually passionate about it, and if you like it, and you know if it's something that you actually want to do, because the idea of something is very different than actually doing it, right? And then to add to that with like signing up for a class and everything, I would say also find your community, like find you know a group of people that are like passionate with you, that like will help you run scenes, or help you with auditions, or help you with advice with your career and everything. I have a wonderful friend who actually, like, she started a group where we all just we get together, and it's sometimes once once a week. It's sometimes every couple weeks. It kind of varies. But we get together and we run scenes, or we talk about our goals right now in the industry, and it's kind of like an acting night. Sometimes we'll watch a movie and dissect that movie, and it's really nice to like be around like-minded people, and you just do it because you enjoy it. And the other thing that's interesting too is like some people are very early on in their career and they're just like deciding like, okay, do I like this acting thing or not? And there's other people that are regularly, working on shows and that you'd recognize from different series here in Toronto. So it's just cool to see like everybody come together and just do it because they genuinely just enjoy it. So yeah, I would say find your people and find a class to start out.
There you go. I'll make sure that if one day I become an actor and I win an Oscar for Best Actor, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Good. I'll be watching to make sure. So
yeah, I would say this wouldn't be possible without Laura's advice. So I love it. Now, let's say that for your birthday you get a time machine, but here's the catch: you can only travel once, and to meet the 13-year-old version of yourself. So, what advice would you give to that little you?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. I think similar to like what I said, like if I was looking for advice with acting, kind of what I just said, I would give to myself. But I think also genuinely, I would give myself the advice to just be more confident in yourself.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in like an egotistical way or anything like that, but just genuinely, I think a big part of how my acting has been able to improve and everything over the years is that you gain that confidence, right? And
Totally.
it's not even just confidence like in your abilities, but confidence in you as a person and knowing like, hey, yeah, like I bring these cool and exciting things to the world and I am valuable just because I exist as a human being. And, my thoughts and my opinions, they matter, and they have relevance in the world. So I think, yeah, that would be my biggest advice to myself, especially because I was very shy and very contained and kind of afraid to kind of go outside of the norm at all. So I think that would be the biggest advice that I would give to myself, to be honest.
There you go. I love it. Yes. Now, moving on here. Let's say that one day Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, I mean, you name it, they call you and they tell you that they have this idea, which goes that all of the characters you have played at the moment, they're gonna gather to celebrate your birthday, but the film needs a name. So how would you call it?
Ooh, um, maybe something like Disaster 101. It
Okay.
would definitely be. I feel like maybe that's a good starting title or working title, but it would definitely be a clash of a lot of different worlds. I've played like I said, like I did a Christmas movie where I played really nice, sweet girl, and then we'd have my character from that Netflix show that's off with the like with drugs and everything, and then I did a film last summer where the character was also a little bit like outside the box. She's
Okay.
a little bit rougher, more punk vibe. So I've got, and then I played a sorority girl too, where she was so it'd be kind of a clash of a lot of different
Mm.
different areas. So I don't know. I don't know that they would get along and everything. It'd be definitely very interesting.
So we're talking about like a kind of a little bit of a dark comedy here.
Maybe, yeah. I would hope they would just all I don't know if they would all get along, to be honest. Very different personalities, different storylines. So yeah, that'd be interesting for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and also that sounds kind of a little bit of a Netflix and HBO film, you know?
Yeah, also if Netflix and HBO wanna hit me up anytime, my ringer will be permanently on. So
There you
won't
go.
miss that call.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Now, what about describing your whole career, but this time on a drink? How would you call it, and what would it have?
On a drink. Um I would say it's definitely got to be a caffeinated drink because these characters are a little, little funky.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe, maybe like an iced, like something like a maybe like a dark roast iced coffee or something like that. Like it'd have to be it'd have to be one of those drinks too that you're gonna have it and it's gonna give you like a rush, you know, like
Mm.
it's not gonna be too overly sweet. Like I think it would definitely be yeah, something that gets you going. I usually have a lot of black coffee when I'm shooting these roles anyway, so that
Yeah.
probably kind of feeds their
Yeah, of
vibe
course.
there.
I love it. I love it. Now, what about if you could describe your career again, but now in a meal?
In a meal. Um, ooh, I don't know. Maybe something like some maybe something that you get like that's kind of like a buffet style because you've got so many different parts and
Okay.
different pieces. I want to say maybe like or maybe like maybe something like a Swiss chalet, like where you've got all your different. It's just it's got to be a meal that's like very
Everything. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff going on. Like it's not just going to be one thing because yeah, I would say definitely my career so far has been anything but one type of character. They've all been all over the place.
Absolutely. So we're talking a dish with pasta on it, with a salad, with sushi on it, with a steak, with fruits, vegetables. You name it.
Yeah, we'll throw it all in because
I
that's
like it.
kind of and you know what that chaoticness kind of works because I feel like that's what my career has been so far. I don't know which direction and where it's going, but I'm
Yeah.
just kind of following the path and we'll see where we get to next pretty much.
There you go. I mean, which I do think that it's working perfectly. So there we have it.
We're doing I'm working hard. You just, you know, you keep going for the next step, right? Like as soon as you get one thing, it's like, okay, now what next, right? Like and
Absolutely.
I think that's part of the exciting thing about acting too, right? Is there's no really like end destination, right? Like even when you start out, it's like, okay, I'm taking a class, and then it's like, okay, and now I'm gonna get headshots. Okay, now I need an agent. Okay, now I'm trying to book my first role or whatever. There's always like everything you do there's always a next step, which is it's kind of it's exciting, right? And
Mm.
as much as I think a lot of people like we have a plan as actors and we're like, okay, I'm going to do this and then this, most of the time it doesn't happen according to that plan, right? Most of the
Yeah.
time you start one way and it ends up on another path and you're not really sure which way it's going to go, but it all somehow usually works out, so yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Now, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable. It happens to all of us. So my question here is how you manage to put those, yeah, like all of those toxic thoughts away and continue, yeah, and to be back again on this road that you have built for so many years now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that motivate me to be honest, but I think the biggest thing is that I genuinely do enjoy and love what I do, right? If I didn't like absolutely love it 100%, then I would find something else that's a little easier to do, you know?
Yeah, of course.
So I think that motivates me. And I think there's also times where you just you know, you get the opportunity to explore a character that um teaches you more about the world and also like more about yourself. I find through acting every time like I'm playing a new character, like I'm learning more about myself or like a different area or something that I didn't know before,
Hmm.
which is really cool. It's cool to like discover yourself through acting, which is really exciting. But yeah, I think what motivates me at the end of the day is that I do genuinely just love it. And like I think like even if I wasn't like acting professionally like for a career, like I think it's something I would still take classes and just
Yeah.
you know, like do these meetups with my friends and stuff like that because I just genuinely enjoy it, you know. So I think that's kind of the nice thing. I know I'm not like trapped in a career where I'm like, oh, I hate going to work every day, you know, like or I
Yeah,
hate
yeah, of course.
my 9 to 5 or whatever. And you know, we all do our like, you know, everybody has parts of their jobs like that they don't love and don't enjoy, but yeah, I think just what motivates me is that like I also too like I want to tell like these stories, like you know, like that Netflix show is just going to be such an inspiring story for so many people, and just like, you know, bringing to light things that people didn't know about. And I think I want more of that, right? Like I want to be part of more projects that I'm just like, wow, like even I'm learning things
Yeah.
about this character as we're going along and stuff like that. So yeah, I think those are all kind of things that motivate me. It's
I
it's a
love it.
lot.
Yeah, no, but it's amazing. It's badass. You see. Uh, and like my last question here is, what can we expect from Laura in the future?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I have like a few things coming out, like that Netflix show is coming out. It's gonna be called Painkiller, and then I also was a part of a feature film last summer that was based on a book, so that will hopefully come out sometime. I don't really have any dates yet, to be honest, but maybe this year. If not, hopefully for sure by next year. But yeah, so I've got a few projects that I've been a part of that'll be coming out, and then hopefully if I just keep working hard and keep training, keep studying, and auditioning and whatever I can get my hands on, hopefully things will just continue to progress. But yeah, that's where we're at for right now.
There you go. I mean, I will drop the mic. I mean, I love it. It's incredible what you do. It's so inspiring. But the fact that you are getting results, that you're actually showing that it is possible, and that is one of the things that I love about interviewing actors. The fact that you guys are showing us. I mean, besides giving us cool entertainment, cool things to watch, you're also showing us that everything is possible, and that of course you need a lot of hard work to it, but
Mhm.
it is possible. And I do think that we should see more people like you guys who are making things happen, because we need it. I mean, we need all of that hard work and vibe you guys put into a project or your careers and everything. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and I think we're at an exciting time right now too, where the industry is really changing. So I feel like now is the opportunity where it's like anybody can be an actor. There's not
Yeah.
really like a restriction of like, oh, you have to look a certain way, or you have to even necessarily like have all this experience or whatever. I think if you just start doing it, and you're passionate and you work hard and you just keep pushing forward, like it's almost just a law of numbers, right? Like if you keep
Yeah.
auditioning, like eventually you're gonna get one,
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Of course.
so it's like I think that now it's really exciting though, because we don't they're breaking down a lot of those barriers of traditionally like what an actor would have to look like or whatever. So yeah, I think it's exciting that there's more opportunity for everybody.
There you go. And that's the perfect way to finish this epic interview. You have it. I love it. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Keep doing what you do, Laura. I mean, I'm super sure that our next conversation is going to be about the thousands upon thousands of projects you have been in, because you're super talented. You're super awesome here. The like the vibe you have to it, it's incredible. It's amazing. And I also want to thank those who are watching this. Thank you so much. If you are listening in on Spotify or Apple Podcast or Amazon and Google too, make sure to go follow Laura like right now. So what is going to happen is in the description below, you're going to see here her link to her Instagram. So let's follow her. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Laura. She's incredible. She's amazing. And also, thank you for watching. If this is your first episode, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. If this is your fifth one or sixth one, keep watching them, spread the word. And again, Laura, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep inspiring, keep creating, because you are doing an incredible job here. And I'll see you in the next one.